When we think about nature, our minds usually go straight to the big, flashy stuff, right? The lions, the elephants, maybe a soaring eagle. But here's the thing. Some of the absolute most important, literally world-saving work is happening completely out of sight. It's being done by organisms so incredibly small that we need a super powerful microscope just to say hello to them.
So I want you to really think about this for a second, because it's a pretty serious question. What happens to all the waste and the dead animals in nature? Think about it. Every single day in our forests, oceans, and the sprawling savannas, leaves fall from trees, animals drop dung, and, well, creatures inevitably reach the end of their lives. Where does it all go? Just imagine, just for a moment, a world where absolutely nothing ever decays.
Honestly, without our microscopic heroes, our beautiful natural landscapes would paint a pretty terrifying and frankly really gross picture. There would just be heaps of dead plants, countless bodies of dead animals, and mountains of animal dung absolutely everywhere. It would just pile up higher and higher forever. Life as we know it would literally grind to a halt under the sheer weight of its own debris.
But thankfully, planet Earth has a highly specialized team to prevent this apocalypse. Let me formally introduce you to the decomposers. Basically, decomposers are microorganisms, primarily things like fungi and bacteria, that actively break down dead bodies and animal waste. They are the ultimate unsung protagonists of our ecosystems. They're doing all the heavy, invisible lifting to keep our planet clean and functioning.
Okay, let's dive into this. Animal waste, like, say, a giant, tightly packed ball of dung, is a prime target for nature's cleanup crew. Now, you might see a dung beetle doing some macroscopic work, eagerly rolling a ball of it away across the sand. But riding along on that exact piece of dung and waiting patiently in the soil right beneath it are billions of microscopic bacteria just ready to break it apart piece by microscopic piece. So the beetle moves it, sure, but the microbes are the ones truly dismantling it. Actually, you can even find delicate white fungi literally growing right out of a mass of elephant dung. And I know what you're probably thinking right now. Nobody wants to look at, let alone eat, rotting food or decaying waste. It naturally seems completely gross to us. But this decay process is actually entirely vital for the survival of the wider environment. Those fungi aren't just spoiling things, they're hard at work deconstructing them. So the really crucial point here is that decomposers are not just some janitorial cleanup crew. They are nature's ultimate recyclers. When they break down dead bodies and organic waste, they release vital nutrients right back into the ecosystem. It's like they take this incredibly complex, locked-up organic matter and they unlock it. They release the energy and the essential chemical substances that the rest of the living world absolutely desperately needs to survive. And this whole entirely natural process builds into a perfect four-step loop of life. Step 1, an organism dies or creates waste. Step 2, our decomposers, those mighty fungi and bacteria, swoop in to break down that organic matter. Step 3, because of this thorough breakdown, vital nutrients return directly to the soil. And finally, step 4, plants use those newly available, super rich nutrients to grow tall and strong. And remember, more thriving plants mean more abundant food for the herbivores, which in turn feeds the carnivores. It's just a brilliant, endless loop. All right, so that brings us to redrawing our map of nature. Where do decomposers actually fit into a standard food web? We're all pretty used to those simple, straight-line food chain diagrams we learned early on, right? Grass is eaten by a zebra, the zebra is eaten by a cheetah. It's neat, it's tidy, but nature isn't a neat, straight line. If we want to be scientifically accurate about how energy really moves through an environment, we have to rethink the whole picture to include our hidden cleanup crew. And this brilliantly illustrates what I mean. In a complete food web, things look a bit different. Let's say we have a banana, a parrot, a fruit bat, and a python. The arrows show the transfer of energy from one organism to the next. Like the bat gets energy from eating the banana, the python gets energy from eating the bat. But look closely at where every single path ultimately ends up. Do you see it? Every single arrow eventually points straight back to the decomposers. Let's break down exactly why all these paths converge like this. First off, decomposers feed on almost every single organism after it dies, whether it's a tiny plant or a massive apex predator. Second, they consume all the animal waste produced while those organisms are out there living their lives. And third, because of this massive, all-encompassing diet, they capture the energy transferred from absolutely all parts of the food web. So yeah, adding decomposers to the diagram makes it look super complicated with arrows pointing everywhere, but it is for sure the truest, most biologically accurate representation of how an ecosystem's energy actually flows. Eventually, everything goes to them.
But let's pivot for a second here. We've talked a lot about the wild ecosystem, forest floors, savannas, elephant dung. But what if I told you these exact same microscopic processes happen right in your very own kitchen? Oh yeah, when bacteria make our food. You see, decomposers don't just spoil our fruit or break down waste in the dirt. Sometimes they are the literal secret ingredient that makes things absolutely delicious.
There's a really striking contrast here. On one side, you've got moldy oranges. Now, this is the kind of breakdown we usually try to avoid, right? Fungi and bacteria spoiling our fresh fruit, making it super unappealing. But then, on the other side, we have the exact same fundamental biological process happening in a controlled, intentional way, making delicious yogurt. It's such a surprising duality. The very same mechanisms of bacterial breakdown that turn a lemon to mush are harnessed by humans to create incredible, nutritious foods. So let's define the specific microscopic workers responsible for this kitchen magic. Yogurt bacteria. These are specialized bacteria that actively change the sugar naturally found in milk and they transform it into an acid. And it's exactly this acidic transformation that provides that sharp, tangy taste we all associate with a great cup of yogurt. They are quite literally consuming the sugar and producing acid as a byproduct. Basically, in scientific terms, they're selectively decomposing the milk entirely for our benefit. Let's see how this actually plays out in a real recipe you could do at home, looking at Sophia's yogurt steps. First, she washes her plastic container with boiling water. This is an absolutely crucial step to kill off any random, unwanted bacteria. We only want the good ones in there. Then she lets the pot cool down and adds fresh milk. And here's the absolute magic step. She adds a small spoonful of bought yogurt. Why do that? Well, because that store-bought yogurt acts as a starter. It's absolutely packed with millions of live, helpful decomposers, the specific yogurt bacteria. Finally, she covers it with cling film and pops it in the fridge. Over time, those live bacteria go to work on the fresh milk, multiplying and transforming the whole shebang into a brand new batch of yogurt. It's truly incredible to think about, isn't it? The exact same forces at work in the wild are at work right there in our kitchens. So I want to leave you with this provocative question as we wrap up this explainer. Next time you eat a creamy cup of yogurt for breakfast, or take a peaceful walk in a lush green forest, will you take just a moment to thank the invisible microscopic workers making it all possible? From recycling the massive waste of an elephant to providing the nutrients that grow giant trees, all the way to creating the tang in your morning snack, decomposers really are the hidden engines of our world. So keep looking closely at the fascinating world around you, especially the parts you can't even see.